We're live.
Hey guys.
I was waiting for you to go.
Shit, I'm in the right chair. We didn't talk about this.
This was really
so
smooth. We're off to a great start, and so to our team Zenith. They're 1-0 in this best of two, Kevin.
Yeah.
In game 2, we're going to get into it. It's, of course, the Alienware Cup brought to you by Alienware, MasterCard, DPM Interactive, and us here at Beyond the Summit.
Yep. And I am affiliated with none of these people, but
Where's your Purge Gamers mug?
It's over there.
Yeah.
It's actually right behind the camera.
Yeah, he'll get that fixed for next game. I'll have like an entire minefield of them.
You
But
get the branding better, and I'm failing right now.
yeah, that's what we're here for. But of course, game 1 it went to Zenith on the back of an XY Tinker, and game 2 is now underway. Let's hop into it.
Thanks everyone for tuning in. By the way, into the draft here. First pick going to Orange. Let's see if they can do something different. The Tinker was really, really effective. It created a lot of space, which allowed Orange to execute what they want to do. Or I'm sorry, which allowed Zenith to do what they want to do, which was push, take towers, and win team fights. So I feel like it wasn't necessarily like the Tinker won them the game, but I feel like they could do it with a lot of different heroes. I felt like that wasn't necessarily an abuse. It was something they played very well, but it didn't really feel like a major abuse. I just like imagine if Orange got all those ganks off on the bot tower and they actually got kills with them. Like it wouldn't have mattered. Like Tinker usually showed up late anyways. He shot a missile or two, but
yeah,
it was like their ganks just weren't quite solid enough. So I feel like it was more Orange's heroes than it was what Zenith had to work with.
Yeah, it was that, and it was also just they couldn't quite find the openings. Like Zenith were pretty strong defensively in terms of their positioning, and it wasn't just the Tinker. I mean, you're also diving into Earthshaker Fissure, into Darkseer, Surge, Vacuum. He had an early mech, Chen Hand of God, and Zenith. They were often like way behind the tower. So Orange just, I mean, it's what we saw. I believe it was Orange yesterday, or was it? No, it wasn't Orange yesterday. It was MUFC yesterday. Who just overextended some of those tower dives. No, actually, sorry. It's LGD China versus LGDN, where they just took bad dives. Like, it's one thing to fight with the Beastmaster. You run him solo mid, you want to fight early, but it's got to be the right kind of fight.
Yep. So we're going to see a Visage Lifestealer out of Orange. They did grab the Visage up in the previous game. Hopefully they can do a bit better with it now, but on the bright side, they've got Lifestealer, one of the best diving heroes in the game. The Darkseer or Gyrocopter, again, same picks out of Zenith here, but this time we're going to see both a Puck ban. Did we see Puck ban in the last game? Do you remember by any chance?
No, at least not in the first phase. Puck, I'm pretty sure was available, but later on might have been banned out.
Yeah, so a lot of junglers now being banned by Orange. They apparently don't want to use them themselves, but they can use those. They would have been able to use those to get a lot of map control and push if needed. So,
well, if Zenith want to go for a very similar lineup this game, they can. Tinker's still in the pool. The one big difference is there won't be a Chen. Chen's been banned out, so I think you stick with what worked for you. Tinker's a pretty decent hero against a Lifestealer Visage. You can tower dive, but you're still not tower diving through March of the Machines, affects magic immune units. You can at least remove the blind with Rage, so that'll help the Lifestealer. But end of the day, I feel like if Zenith want to run a similar lineup, they probably could.
Yep, it's definitely a possibility. They could draft it up here. Like you said, magic immunity doesn't really matter when you throw March on the ground. It's going to hit them no matter what. So, and Lifestealer is always going to be in action. He's always going to be up front in melee range. So it can be pretty threatening for him as a spell. So they're going to grab a Treant Protector. Another hero that we see a whole ton in the Eastern scene, more commonly in the West, is kind of a staple, something that you see consistently. They already have an offlane here with Darkseer, so I'm guessing it's going to be a support Treant, but most importantly, really great against heroes like Lifestealer. He does quite a bit of damage, but it's over multiple sources. He doesn't have like a large-scale magic nuke, so the Treant is going to be really good towards saving whoever Lifestealer goes on.
What is Zenith up to here? Treant pick. Are we going to see a Weaver? Do they have some sort of clowny diving strategy prepared? Or are they just doing this to troll gods? It's one of the three, clearly. We've seen Treant rise to popularity as of late in the Western scene, and Zenith is one of the more creative and versatile teams in the Eastern scene, so let's see if they can have the same kind of success that Goblack has had with this hero in the past. Yeah,
the hero's really good at keeping people alive, and it, like you said, I would be surprised if they didn't use it for some kind of a combo, because they started the draft off the same way. They grabbed Darkseer and Gyrocopter. They didn't really force aggressiveness with either of these. I mean, maybe Ice could get more EXP this way instead of having to leave the lane at level 1 and go jungle and go back to lane eventually, but I completely agree. They're going to go with something aggressive. I don't know what it's going to be, but it's going to be probably their mid hero, I guess, or maybe their support. I mean, they won't even be able to gank that well, though, because if they have a support tree, like, you can't really gank with a Treant +1, you know?
Yeah, I mean, the other way, you have to pick an aggressive solo. That's really the only way you can do it, is with the Weaver. And then it's just up to the Weaver or something like that to tower dive a lot. The other option is, if they're expecting Orange to try and go balls to the wall aggression, then you get the Treant, makes it very hard to go aggressive on heroes like Tinker, like Gyro or Darkseer. So We'll see what they do with this Treant pick, but they snap it up rather early. I feel like if they wanted to 5th pick it, there's a 99.9% chance it would have been there.
Yeah.
But hey, they decide to snap it up now.
So Orange gets their 3rd pick, taking a lot of time on this one, burning through some of their reserve here. They currently have a hard carry. They have their 1st support, which can fit into a lot of lane setups and do quite a few things. They're looking for a 2nd, though. I would love to see something else like a Venge. I think Venge Lifestealer is just a fantastic combo. The minus armor plus Lifestealer is great, and they're going to go for a Slark, so they want to hard counter the tree immediately. This is very smart, because Slark can mid very simply, and 1 level of Dark Pact just blows through the tree armor. So whoever he's up against, if they are planning something weird with the mid laner, Slark can counter it.
Yeah, this is a very aggressive hero, and you combine this with the Lifestealer Visage, very gank heavy, minimal team fight, and they're up against, potentially later on, Vacuum, Overgrowth, Call Down, Flat Cannon. You want to win this laning stage. You want to snowball either the Slark or the Lifestealer or the Visage, ideally all 3 if you can. Now they'll need at least 1 support, maybe 2. Visage could be a farmer in the tri-lane. We'll see what they go for. Lifestealer can solo, Slark can solo. They have some options at their disposal here. My one big question is, who's going to lane against Darkseer? Because right now, RNG Sports, they don't have anyone who's really going to match up well 1v1 in a side lane. Slark's okay, but you can't really dominate a Darkseer.
Yeah, I would say Lifestealer is maybe their best option right now, because he can get Lifesteal from the creeps, and if you choose, they will probably not go Midas, but I mean, you can do things like Midasing the creep or infesting the Iron Shell creep. There's a couple small tricks that Lifestealer can use to get more advantage over another melee hero, but largely it's not really a fun matchup. Another reason I really like the Treant Protector pick is because Overgrowth is really good against Lifestealer. It doesn't really matter if you do the damage to him, but you can use Overgrowth while he rages, and that's going to prevent him from actually attacking or moving during that time period. And pretty okay against Slark as well. I mean, he's going to probably cast Dark Pact, but it can catch him. And
oh my god. Look at this 5-man Dota from Zenith. Their mid-game combo is
AoE's
insane.
Okay.
Orange don't have a single real AoE hero. And you've got Dark Pact, you've got the familiar stuns. Not true AoE, at least not that reliable. You do not want to let Zenith get level 6 without being ahead. If you do, that's going to be trouble.
There's really not a lot of stuns for Orange at the moment either. They basically have the bats. And if I'm not mistaken, were those recently... Black Hole can catch them now? Is that correct?
Oh,
I feel like that was a change.
I know what was changed was, I know for a fact Panda Ultimate you used to be considered an ancient, so you would not be affected by Black Hole. I'm not sure about the familiars. I could even try and look it up right now.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember if that was the case, because if it is affected by Black Hole, they're set at the moment. Because as long as he Black Holes the bats doesn't end as well, he's going to be okay. Anti-Mage picked up for Orange. What? They've got 3 hardcore farmers right now. This is probably going to mean off-lane Slark with a mid Lifestealer and an anti-mage tri-lane, I guess, or they can put AM solo versus the Darkseer.
I think that's what they're going for here, is run your AM safe lane. He'll match up better against Darkseer than a Lifestealer or Slark, and I would say probably still the Slark mid, and I think they need a setup hero for the tri-lane, Visage, Lifestealer, +1. Because thing is, Lifestealer's not a good initiator in a tri-lane, but he's still a better tri-lane hero than Slark, whereas Slark, very, very level dependent.
Yeah, he is absolutely. And the main detriment to him, not getting a lot of levels, is actually the pounce cooldown. You always imagine Slark in the late game where he's just flying all over the map and really hard to kill, but it starts off at a pretty high cooldown. If I check out the skill code, 20-second cooldown at level 1, then it scales by 4 seconds per level. So
a little Google foo here, Ken. It turns out that Ken, why did I say Ken? Kevin.
Oh, he said Ken.
Jesus.
I mean, whatever, they're all
Everyone's been calling me drunk in the chat, and now they're affecting me.
It's fine, guys.
Fixed Visage Familiar is not being affected by Black Hole. This was in Dota 1 a few patches ago, so I believe they should be Black Hole now, which means that's not a great counter to it.
So they've got AM ulti and that's it, which is actually
it's
not
actually a
the
pretty
worst,
good one to cancel.
because it goes through BKB. So no matter what, assuming he doesn't have a Lincoln Sphere, they can actually stop him from black holing. But in most cases, you're not going to want to blow the AM ulti. Usually it's best for picking off a core hero. Darkseer's a great target for AM ulti. Usually has a huge mana pool. If he does his combo, there goes 600 mana, couple Manta right clicks on that guy, and he is prime target for Mana Void Bombs.
Now for Zenith with this last pick, they'll need another support here. You could run a Darkseer as a 4 position. I mean, I guess the Enigma Treant could be your 2 supports, but they're very... Treant you really want to get level 6 on, and Enigma obviously takes up quite a bit of farm, isn't really the best in the laning stage, so maybe those will be the 2 supports. We could even potentially see just a jungle Darkseer, a solo Enigma, and they could get a bit greedy. Zenith known for being greedy. We'll see if they do that this game. If you run Enigma 1v1 against anti-mage, that's a really tough matchup for the anti-mage, so I wouldn't put it past Zenith to try and be creative with their lanes. But if they do that, well, the orange esports tri-lane will be the main concern. Is Treant Living Armor going to be enough to deal with it?
And the main reason this is going to be an issue, why the anti-mage is such a good counter, is their heroes don't really, if they're in bad lanes, their heroes don't transition very well, because it's the same thing with teamfight heroes. And Sand King is not like a consistent hero that I was hoping they would draft, because all of these, I mean, they're like, okay, we have 4 teamfight heroes, let's get a 5th. Let's just be really, like,
we got this, guys.
Why not grab like a really safe, consistent laner that can make your lanes a bit stronger? Again, we talked about Sand King last game. Burrow Strike's really short range. He's not that reliable of a support here. I just feel like if Orange can find a lane setup that hard counters what Zenith is working with, they're going to be
Is this
have
a
a lot of
solo
trouble.
mid Sand King? You're up against the lineup
Really?
for Orange. Where is it? I mean, I'm not sure, but you know there's going to be a melee hero mid because Visage isn't going mid. Crystal Maiden's not. Maybe it's a solo mid Sand King, offlane Enigma, jungle Darkseer, and a Gyro Treant dual lane. It's really greedy, but it is kind of how Zenith like to roll. I have not played Sand King versus Lifestealer or Slark mid. I imagine Caustic Finale is probably pretty annoying. That's not something that Dark Pack will help you against.
It's probably really good against
Well, I say all that, but X
Lifestealer.
Freedom's playing it, so...
I would say it's... Okay, so he's going to play support. It would be probably okay against Lifestealer. Yeah, it's probably okay against Lifestealer. If he open wins you can Burrow Strike away or go invisible. If he has sentries, you have 2 escape options, basically. Against Slark, it's not horrible either. You'll probably get out-harassed once he gets bottled, but...
You know, I would almost like that better than what it looks like they're going to do, which is a tri-lane with a Treant and a Sand King. Ugh.
God,
It just gives you that icky
Godspeed,
feeling.
I guess. I am against a Visage CM Anti-Mage or a Visage CM Lifestealer. I mean, that's a scary tri-lane. Once CM hits 2, God forbid 3, they're going to have the mana rolling, they're going to have a ton of nukes, and a lot of disables. Lifestealer's not killable, basically. They do have Treant armor, which is good against an aggressive tri-lane because you can at least have a defensive spell, but man, it's not looking that good. Wow, or look at the stats, 7-1 in Orange's favor. This previously was the first official match that Zenith took a game off Orange.
Really? Wow. Well, from what I understand, Zenith was beating Orange in scrims consistently, but...
Not where it counts.
Apparently not in the officials. Well, RG Sports, even with their old roster too. Wow, that's now some of those may have been Yamate's victories when he was on Orange.
So he beat himself.
It's almost like Zenith have half a win there for some of those games, perhaps. But Yamate as well as Ice. But for RG Sports, I love the Crystal Maiden pick because it solves all of the issues with Lifesteal in a tri-lane. You have effectively an 1100 initiation range between Crystal Nova's cast range and then its radius.
Yep.
So you'll be able to initiate upon anyone. You get a range for open wounds, and then Lifestealer is basically the same hero in the tri-lane.
And once you grab the level of aura, 1 mana per second on a guy that's probably going to be wanting casting Rage as well as open wounds often, he's going to have a lot less mana problems. Anti-Mage is going to be a little happy with that as well. He can blink aggressively if he needs. And same goes for Slark. He sometimes has some mana problems in the early game. So, I mean, CM is one of the best supports offensively, and she always kind of has been this, but the extra mana that she can now get for a single skill point, it gives her 2 mana per second. That's amazing. That's like a quad. That's about a little bit less than 4 Basilius of regen on herself. Like, it is so much mana regen. It's fantastic.
Wow. Looking at Zenith now, I don't know how they're going to deal with this tri-lane. Sand King Tree, Gyro.
I don't know either.
That is a horrible tri-lane. Double melee heroes. One of them has, I mean, he has the, obviously he's got living armor. It's okay for surviving, but no nukes, no lane control. Burrow Strike's even low range on top of that. And Gyro has low range, so it's hard to farm safely. It's going to be tough for them to even get creeps in this lane, I feel. And this is where maybe the Darkseer starts in the jungle and joins the lane early. Maybe Ice has to gank a lot. Maybe they just roam, because I don't see what they're actually going to do in a 3v3 scenario.
Yeah, it might be really, really tough for them. I really don't know what they're going to do. I feel like they have to do standard lanes, though, because they can't go aggressive. Like, if they match, I think they have to go safe tri-lane versus versus Orange's aggressive, because the aggressive tri-lane coming out of Orange is so much stronger than anything Zenith can put together, so they need a defensive advantage. So I think they have to go defensive. They probably have to put the Darkseer versus the Anti-Mage, or they could do Darkseer jungling Enigma. I guess they could Enigma off. I think Enigma in the jungle against an aggressive tri-lane is too scary, because if those supports ever leave the lane, Enigma's much, much easier kill than Darkseer, I would say.
Yeah, I'd still like the idea of putting Enigma off lane, even if he gets ganked, because he can beat an Anti-Mage 1v1, and that means that maybe the Anti-Mage needs a lot of help. If the supports leave the tri-lane, Lifestealer might not die, but at least your gyro is going to get farmed then. You can run Darkseer in the jungle. You can be greedy and put Sand King mid. I still feel like that might be the better way to go here for Zenith. By the way, they did swap heroes. Ice as well as X-Freedom swapped, but it's still just their 2 support players. So in the end, it looks like they're going to go with a double melee plus Gyrocopter tri-lane. We'll see how this works out. And, well, we continue to have a pause. Everyone's back in the game. Now somebody's hopefully not in the toilet, but using the toilet.
Oh, man. And another bathroom break. It's going to take forever. Let's go over the players, though, who are waiting at least. Tremendously popularity. 57% record. Pretty good.
Yeah, shout out to K-Pop-tosis. I believe you can follow him on Twitter at twitter.com/K-Pop-tosis. I guess he's a K-pop fan for doing the stats. He's been really good.
Probably just a coincidence.
Yeah.
Just happens to be.
It's his name. His name is K-Pop.
He's poor. His parents are jerks. He does a great job with stats, though. That's him updating all of those things. I have no control over that. I wish I could do multitask that well. But
I could do it, but
while you're
I'm
casting,
lazy.
I don't know, man. That stuff is tough.
No, while we're paused here, I could go and look stuff up if I really wanted to.
Just
but
take notes immediately. And
good news is we'll soon have Bruno here, and then we'll get the full stats man treatment.
We'll have official.
That's like living
Bruno
in luxury.
certified stats. Wow. Like we can put his face on everything. It's gonna help out. Let's go over the players though. I'm gonna cover Zenith really fast. Ice is playing Darkseer once again. We've got regular Ice on Sand King, Freedom or X Freedom, excuse me. Is it X Freedom? Is that correct? Or is it
X Freedom? Yeah, that's.
It just says Freedom. He's lying to me. It's Treant Protector. XY is playing Enigma, and NWP is gonna be playing the Gyrocopter. This is for Team Zenith. Currently up 1 game.
Of course, guys, it's a best-of-2 format. It's not really a best-of, but it's a 2-game group stage format. Each team gets 1 game on each side. And we'll have, for RNG Sports, of course, Ohio handling the Lifestealer. He'll be headed to the off-lane. He's been a playmaker on the Windrunner. Can he do it on the Lifestealer? We'll find out. Net, your 5-position support, handling the Crystal Maiden. Towards the mid lane, it'll be Mushi taking up the reins as the anti-mage.
Weird.
Is he actually going mid? He's been pulled a set of tangos here, starting with the Quelling Blade and a Stout Shield. KYXY. You'd expect him to go mid. Mushi's sitting here for the time being, maybe just thinking about joining his team for a 5-man foray top. And last but not least, Extinct on the Visage. It looks like it will be the AM safe lane and Slark mid, but just hanging out there for the time being.
So if the AM's going the safe lane, that means he's expecting the Darkseer to be there. It's actually looking like it's going to be an aggressive tri-lane from Zenith because they're trying to dodge this tri-lane. They don't feel safe putting their tri-lane versus it. So this will be a safe lane Darkseer versus a really strong tri-lane. And this is actually pretty great for Zenith if they can get this matchup because Darkseer has a lot of movement speed, and until they get Frostbite on Crystal Maiden, they actually don't have any good lockdown on him. Like the slow stacking doesn't matter. He's going to be able to run away from this.
And he's actually taking Nova at level 1 because, again, they're expecting a tri-lane versus tri-lane, and Nova's much better there. But against the Darkseer, you'd rather a Frostbite. So it's that little advantage that might come into play. The one problem I have with this for Zenith is their tri-lane is the dire side, and it's actually a lot worse to tri-lane as the dire side unless you can just get kills in the lane, because you can't pull the wave like you can on the Radiant. You can actually pull the big camp here that you're circling right now. And well, for Zenith, it means maybe they shut down this anti-mage, but they're not going to kill him. You don't kill anti-mage with Burrow Strike, Living Armor, and Rocket Barrage. It's just not going to happen. So he'll still get levels in this lane, but the alternative is they go 3v3 top, and they just get butchered. So in the end, I kind of like it.
And wow, it's actually an Enigma mid. I didn't even point this out, but he's going fast bottle. He gets a guaranteed CS with his first demonic conversion. He's going to spot the AM, and now he's going to decide what to do. So he's going to go for the first deny. This is something we saw Syndren's team a while ago start popularizing once again. The idea is that you can get a ton of CS with the Eidolons because it's a bunch of bonus damage here. He's actually going to try to work down their HP a bit, but since he has a Stout Shield, he can block a lot of this damage. But XY should be able to get a lot of the CS. Here's a gank actually coming in. That's going to put the slowdown Treant Armor on time, and instead it turns into an Eidolon gank. Damn, sick gank, guys.
RG Sports. Well, GG, go next. They've taken game 2 already with that gank, but in the end, it's going to be Zenith tri-laning, not killing the Slark, who's actually getting levels as well. He's level 2. And this hero, equally hard to kill as the anti-mage, if not harder. What are you going to do here? Again, you pick Sand King Treant as your supports. You just don't do a whole lot in the laning stage. So Zenith, they're making the best of a bad situation for their supports, but AM, Mushi is free farming mid. Starting with the Stout Shield and the Quelling Blade, this is very hard for Enigma, and bottom lane, we may have a big skirmish here.
Yeah, all the supports should rotate down. Ice gets caught with a pounce, and we do see the armor. He's going to be able to Burrow Strike away from the pounce. And Rocket Barrage now on KYXY. He can't lead for a while. Extinct also taking some damage, but the Gyrocopter has to be careful. He's going to tango through the one tree, juking through. Can they land a pounce? 6 seconds. The cooldown is so high, so I guess they're going to be fine here, but a lot of damage taken from that.
See, here's the problem, is they're running the Enigma mid, who's normally great at just dominating a 1v1 matchup, but End of the day, Mushi started with a Quelling Blade and a Stout Shield and was pulled regen, and Crystal Maiden came here to harass. Oh, actually, top lane, Ohio, well, taking a lot of damage, not dead yet. But because of all those factors, and also because he's mid and Eidolons do have a chance to miss uphill, it's hard for the Enigma to dominate the matchup as hard as he otherwise would. And with this kind of a start, Mushi will have his items soon, whatever it is. Tranquil Boots, Arena of Health. It looks like he's going to go Boots first, so Tranquil Boots could be the choice. You can just kind of dart in and out with Anti-Mage's above average base move speed and get the last hits and be in great shape. So I think this matchup is going to go much better for Mushi than what you would normally expect it would.
Yeah, I'm a little surprised that the Enigma isn't doing better, but Mushi pretty much got every single last hit that was available to him in the first 2 waves, and that gave him such a big gold advantage. And now with the Stout Shield and the Quelling Blade, he's just doing really great, honestly. Definitely outlast hitting the Enigma about twice the CS above him at the moment.
It really shows you that all those little things add up. Crystal Maiden putting a little pressure there. Oh, bottom lane Nets thinking about going in. Has a Frostbite. He'll start with that on ice. Doesn't have a Nova follow-up. No mana for it. There is a leap for KYXY. Can he get in range? He does connect. There's no Dark Pact yet. He's taken 2 points in Pounce. Oh, I don't know about that. They still get the first blood, chewing through the living armor in spite of it. Now on to Yamate. I thought they would need it. I thought they would actually need the Dark Pact to get the kill there, but apparently not.
Yeah, it's actually pretty good to have Essence Shift this early. It's similar to the principles of Undying, is that your stats are so low early that if you do remove 2 or 3 int, or 2 or 3 strength, I mean, every strength point is a huge percentage of your overall HP. So any stats removed at this early in the game just does a lot. It's about 19 extra damage per right click, reduced by whatever percentage their HP is at.
Top lane Ohio. Oh, seals the Centaur. That's a pretty big play by him, but might pay for it with his life. He has Rage, but he's very low. Living Armor could come into play here.
Wow.
One more auto attack is going to bring him down. Ice, ice, ice. What a player. And Ohio just getting a bit greedy there. He got the Centaur, and he's like,
wow,
man, I'm a boss. I'm stealing the Centaur from a Darkseer. But at the end of the day, it gives up the kill. Not worth it.
Yeah, way more EXP going to the Darkseer after he gets the kill. And those punches are insane, man. They're like, I swear, this guy knows karate or something. They're so slow, but when they connect, they hit really, really hard. And it was a 2-shot. It barely was enough to take him in 2 hits. If that was 3 hits, he would have been a lot deeper under tower, most likely somewhere like here to snag the kill.
Yeah.
And it might have cost him a lot more in the long run. Like, he might have died. His HP is actually really low here. But great tree on armor, and nicely done by Zenith to score the kill.
And of course, this is where tree comes in handy. You're not going to do anything in your own lane unless you have a hero like Weaver, or again, a really good chaser, a diver, maybe a Darkseer along those lines. But you can maybe help win the other lanes. Darkseer getting that kill. I feel they need more of that because Mushi is winning mid. He's 20-4 as anti-mage. All those little factors making the difference. Something on the courier for him now. It's going to be a bottle. So
normal, totally normal. AM bottle mid, guys.
If you actually, I've played a fair amount of anti-mage mid in pubs because I love playing anti-mage because I'm a horrible person.
Yeah, no kidding. You suck.
But he's actually not. If you don't get pressured, getting a bottle isn't bad because you have Blink. You'll get most of the runes. So you don't do as much of them as heroes like Queen of Pain. But end of the day, controlling the runes is still important. And
that's a really good point. And you can spend the mana. You're like, oh, whatever. I'll just Blink top, Blink bottom, no problem. He is going the typical burning build, so 1 in each skill point and then stats. I don't know if he's going to hold true to this, but it's not bad. He doesn't really need the other skill points, honestly. Like, if he gets Malefist, he'll blink away. If there's a gank, he's got 1 spell shield, and he really just wants more damage in HP.
And who's ganking you? A level 1 Sand King? A Treant?
Yeah.
They're not ganking him.
Treant.
So he can, I mean, he could really do whatever he wanted. And it's Zenith, I don't even know if Anti-Mage will die this game. If he does, it's only because Mushi chooses to come to fights. It's more just, you know, it's more just can he farm fast enough? Because at some point, Zenith will try to group in 5-man. And for RNG Sports, strategically, the big picture for them is they just want to get farm on their 3 cores, spread the map, find kills here and there, and basically accrue early advantages and snowball them. If they get far enough ahead, they can take the slate. But they don't want to 5v5 in the mid game without a big advantage. And, well, for the time being, they're getting a pretty big advantage. Slark's farming well, Anti-Mage is farming well. Even Lifestealer for Ohio still doing pretty decently in the off lane. Not great, but decent.
Yep, and he picks up his Soul Ring on the top lane, and he's being really aggressive, actually. He's possibly going to cut some creeps a slight amount. The wave comes past the tower, and he will pick up some more CS. There was an Invis on the Sand King, but this was mostly spotted out. He was trying to figure out where he wanted to gank, honestly. But, again, you're not going to kill this Anti-Mage. Even if you drop the Malefice, you need a Black Hole and a lot more damage output, because there's no way, unless he had like a double Eidolon or something, he's not going to be able to get that kill.
And for the time being, this Slark safe lane, I mean, again, he's not really a good tri-lane hero because you want him to get a lot of levels, but they're giving him a lot. They're kind of neutering their own supports a bit, only level 2 in the Crystal Maiden and the Visage, which is not too bad, but they finally dewarded the camp, and he's impossible to kill. Zenith can't kill him. They can't gank the Anti-Mage. The big thing for them is that Ice 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 is having a powerful start. If he gets an early mech, that could fuel their 5-man aggression sooner than you would otherwise expect. But so much relies on him right now because even XY, only 20 and 11, which is not that great for a solo. And well, we see Trant getting picked off bottom, or finding a kill bottom lane.
Wow.
Actually, the Slark really overextending there.
Did you catch the gank? I missed it, unfortunately.
He was just kind of overextended and didn't even get off a leap there in the end. And
really?
The Burrow Strike clipped him, I guess, and then a Rocket Barrage follow-up. Ends up going down.
Okay, it looks like a homing missile is also used. So maybe it was a homing missile into Burrow Strike and a lot of burst damage or something. Treant's actually, like, despite the hero not having good damage output, his base damage is ridiculous. So even against the early Slark, he can hit for a big percentage. Anti-Mage gets a kill mid. Did pop his ulti for that one, so Enigma goes down. He does have a Soul Ring and a bottle, so that means his HP is probably less than ideal, and a little bit of right-click to drain his mana and an ulti to kill him.
Yeah, I think we need to repeat that one. Anti-Mage just got a solo kill on an Enigma.
Did I say it the other way?
No. You said it the right way, but that is one of the most ridiculous statements I've ever heard. It just happened. Mushi, such a dominant mid player, finding 1v1 kills against Enigma as friggin' Anti-Mage. He did use Mana Void for that, but well worth it. Impressive stuff from him.
Yeah, the cooldown on that is actually really low, so not a big deal. He's actually not tread switching, which bothers me a bit, but you know, it doesn't matter. Guy's got 31 CS here against the Enigma.
And for KYXY, despite dying, he hits level 5, he's got power treads up, and as long as he gets off the Dark Pact when they go on him, there's just no way he should die. The one issue for Orange, and I guess the reason why KYXY died, besides being overextended, is they have two very weak defensive supports. Visage, Crystal Maiden are, if you get off a good Nova, it's okay for helping you disengage, but it's not an Earthshaker, it's not a Shadow Demon. These are not the best heroes for getting you out of harm's way. They're great offensively, but at this point, giving up a kill in that tri-lane, this is where maybe Zenith can start to find their footing a bit. They'll actually rotate Trant off the lane, though, because end of the day, Zenith, they're still not really doing much in this lane. Even with that kill, KYXY is still your second highest farmer on the map.
We'll see how he turns this into the mid game, though. I assume he'll still go Battle Fury, of course.
And mid lane, it looks like Ohio's rotated in.
Might see an open wounds. It's only level 2, so the initiation range is really, really low. It'd be really hard to get one of these kills. I feel like you would have to somehow sneak into the Enigma. Now there's boots, so this kill's just not going to happen either, and he's going to have to go back to the top lane. But he knows that he's having a rough time against Ice, who is pretty much getting free farm. Highest farmer in the game. He's able to take jungle camps as well when the rest of the wave is pushed out, so things are looking really good for Ice.
And for the time being, it's a solo mid Enigma. Hasn't used a black hole yet. He's had level 6 for quite some time.
Crashed. Shoot.
Well, while your game's crashed, we'll see if Kawa can come back from the producer's desk and bail us out here, but
come on.
He's relaxing on the couch right now.
Work.
But you guys aren't missing a whole lot. Oh god. Don't press anything, Blitz. You'll break it all. While this is happening, both teams are just farming. You're actually not missing a whole lot, guys.
Whoa, that's a last hit, guys. Why does it crash? I don't know. It's crashing.
It's Dota 2 acting up again. What can you do? Mushi. Oh man, this is actually a big rune. Illusion rune for Anti-Mage. That's pretty legit.
Oh man, he's got a Manta at 8 minutes. Has this ever happened in the history of Dota before?
YOLO! He's a solo mid Anti-Mage. Blitz is not even watching the game. He comes over, he's like, why does he have a bottle? There's your analysis at work. Blitz really earning his keep here, but he'll go back to his nap now. And bottom lane, they'll go in on Yamate.
Not good for him. They're going to jump for it. Great. Oh my god, it's the tree armor and the burst damage. Actually, they're going to be able to pick off Slark, I think, but not before Gyro goes down. Open wounds. He's going to be able to survive. He uses his ulti, and now chasing after Freedom. Another Soul Assumption doing a ton of damage. He has a little bit of trees he's going to eat through. 55 HP. Great juke so far, but not enough.
KYXY did go down while that was happening, but on the backside, Mushi's rotated in with his Illusion Rune, roaming, ganking Anti-Mage. Now will TP back mid reluctantly. He's actually fallen behind in CS. He's moved around the map so much that, well, XY's managed to catch up a bit. I think strategically for Orange, Mushi is much better off just farming, but he wanted a piece of the action, and he certainly got it there.
I would have loved if he went aggressive on Enigma with this blink. Like, if he just blinked and popped the illusion and right-clicked him, he definitely could have drained a lot of his mana. Would have been sweet, but he didn't do it.
And they're going in now. Ohio's rotated in mid. There's a black hole available. Diving the tower against this is dangerous, but there's no mana. He's got a Soul Ring. He could pop it, but he'd probably go down anyway. The Illusion Rune on Anti-Mage, like you said, that 8-minute Manta style, super sick stuff. While this is happening, Crystal Maiden gets picked off. Solo kill for Yamate. Looks like a missile from the fog sets up the kill, follows it up with the Rocket Barrage, and well, that's a nice little pick off for him.
Yeah, especially because he didn't have to use cooldown. His mana's getting a little low, so being able to save that is really useful. And a really early Nature's Guides from the Treant Protector, actually. He's looking for support here to set up kills and possibly be able to add his slow to a kill, but nothing really happening yet. He's just still sitting and spamming his ulti, or his, might as well call it his ulti. It's his most important skill, Living Armor.
Teleport into the bottom lane. It's Ohio. He's got Dust. Looks like they want to make a go here on X Freedom. He's been a cheeky little bugger with his Nature's guys. The familiars are coming in. They open wounds. Yamate, they're going to make a go on him now. The familiars are there, but are they going to be able to get away with the Living Armor? It looks like Yamate can escape for the time being. Now Ice smokes from mid lane and heads towards bottom. Zenith, we mentioned their level 6 lineup. I'm going to check the levels right now. 2 heroes are not level 6, but they have the mech, and that's why they're grouping up. With the mech, they can look to take a 5-man fight.
Well, Ice is going to spot out Crystal Maiden. He doesn't want to Burrow Strike this because he's limited on mana. Can they catch anybody? Almost a Leech Seed, but that would have burned through the rest
That's
of his
such a
mana
pitiful hero to surge. You surge in the Treant, and then he waves his arms at you, and nothing happens.
It's more intimidation. Like, how does a giant tree run that fast? It's really intimidating.
It defies the laws of physics. And again, for RNG Sports, this is that stage of the game where they don't want to fight. They just want to sit back and farm. Unfortunately, Mushi, that rotation earlier, I feel hurt him quite a bit. And just the time he spent off the lane being forced to buy an additional teleport scroll, and he's fallen a bit behind in CS. 60 CS 11 minutes in. It's about 5 to 6 CS a minute, which isn't too bad, but he was farming a lot better than this earlier. Just a lot of movement from him. I think for Orange, as tempting as it might be to find kills here or there, even if you can, you're just going to be better off, and it's safer to farm. Bottom lane, though, we might have an engagement. It looks like we will. Yamate caught out, eats a frostbite to the face. Soul Assumption, jams it in.
Well, pretty easy kill there. A missile is going to land on net, but he's going to be just fine. Maybe a jump on the anti-mage mid, but that's right. He not only has Blink, but a haste rune.
Hey,
are they going to black hole this? Ooh, he was thinking about it.
He even used a soul ring. XY still diving for this. They wanted to go so friggin' badly. Now they catch KYXY. You cannot Dark Pact out of black hole, but, well, they're not going to go yet. In comes Mushi. He's hasted up. They frostbite Ice. The Soul Assumption's there, but the mech keeps him safe. He burrows through to the low ground. He's going to live. Now XY open wounds. Remember, he's got black hole. That's a double familiar stun, but still, this looks very, very bad for Orange. If they fight, they will fall. Ohio on the run. Now Ice 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 giving chase, working on the tower. And Net, maybe overstaying his welcome. Ice 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 says, hello, delicious Crystal Maiden. I'm going to take a bite out of you.
Wow, Zenith is playing so well right now. I thought that they were going to lose it to
Orange can't
multiple
fight.
times. Malphite, will he black hole this? He do. You see his hands? He was thinking about it, man.
XY, he is literally hanging off the ledge with like one finger holding him up. He was that close to pressing the red button. Wisely, he does not. And they can just do this again. They can go top. This is where, if you're Orange, you should not be taking 5-on-5 engagements. You don't have a lineup that can defend towers well. You need to just rely on the familiars, the Crystal Maiden maybe to slow things down with the Nova, and split push, get your battle if you're an anti-mage, try and get your Black King bar on the Slark, stall the game, because you are not fighting against Zenith in a 5v5 clash. It's just not going to happen. Especially when they counter so many of your heroes. We talked about Orange's lack of stuns. It's still the case. I mean, I thought Enigma was screwed. I was like, oh, this guy's way out of position. Surge happens. He's absolutely fine. And they're able to turn things around on the Lifestealer, who previously felt safe. So it's looking really good for Zenith. They're playing well. Tower does not get denied here. KYXY running for his life just to treads and a bracer up on this guy. And Ice 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 continues to be the highest net worth in the game, despite the fantastic start on Anti-Mage. Yeah, it was for a while. The two highest heroes were the Anti-Mage, immediately followed by the Slark, but that has changed, and it's changed dramatically with the Slark dying repeatedly. KYXY Missile is going to be here. He doesn't actually get off a Dark Pact. Actually, yes, he does. Last possible second. Calldown's still going to connect. He's got a leap. A leap away. They're smoking in. They want to go.
Will they open wounds? It doesn't really matter because the other guy gets surged, and there he is, escaping. Anti-Mage shows up. Great Burrow Strike starting things off, but Ice takes a ton of burst damage. Supports from the side are going to grab him. Missile starting things off, and the blink through from Mushi. He's looking for the Ice 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 ultimate. He's missing about 700 mana, so he's got to be careful, but he's not going to go for it. Instead, they grab the easy kill. Yeah, that's a sad tree. He's not having a good time. Orange, that's the kind. If they want to take a clash, it's got to be where Zenith are out of position, they're overextended, they have to run. Because at the end of the day, Orange do have an amazing chasing lineup. It's just you don't want to go you don't want an orderly 5v5. That's where Zenith will crush you. But Orange, well, Zenith were a bit overextended. I think the key there was that Ohio raged through the Burrow Strike. If he doesn't, maybe Zenith can take that fight. But perfect timing. He baited Zenith into a very bad position, and then they capitalized. So everything looks pretty good for Zenith, regardless of losing some heroes there. Enigma's close to his BKB, about 1,000 gold away. When that happens, the only thing that's going to stun him is Anti-Mage ulti or an Abyssal Blade or a Basher or something like that, which is most likely not going to happen. So they're going to push forward continuously. Two of their supports, by the way, are still not level 6. That's both the Sand King as well as the Treant. Especially the Treant ulti would be really, really useful in this fight. And KYXY is coming from the back. He's going to throw the illusions in first, and the rest of his team is ready to sandwich.
Oh man, it could be a Zenith sandwich, but I don't know if you want to try and eat this thing. This might be a little too much to handle. Mushi getting closer and closer to a Battle Fury. He's not far off, and once he gets it, that's where Zenith, they've taken the 3 tier 1s, but their work is not done. This is where you need to take all the tier 2s. I would say by like 20 minutes, and you really need some aggressive wards. They'll find KYXY. He can Dark Pact and just leap south. I don't think they can actually kill him here. Simple escape for him, and great stalling tactics. He's basically doing what Ice 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 loves to do, which is be a troll, be a nuisance, delay the game while your teammates are the real threats, get the items up, and you take it late enough, Mushi gets big enough. It will be hard at a certain point for Zenith to take this game because Gyro isn't getting a lot of farm. Yamate's 5-manny with his team. They could take it late game, I feel, if he was just exclusively farming, stacking Ancients, and focusing on his late game, but the way they're playing is just heavy emphasis on 5-man, taking towers, and winning the game around that 30-35 minute mark. So if they aren't able to do that and Mushi's not dying, which again, they don't have a great lineup for ganking him, that's where Orange are going to be in great shape.
Yeah, they really do need to push soon. But on the bright side, they've gotten Treant up to level 6. He's got a Medallion as well, which is going to give him a lot of physical damage output versus heroes like Anti-Mage when he's getting bursted. But this guy's got so many stats now. He's got 1,000 HP as Anti-Mage, and that looks pretty healthy. His Battle Fury's flying out. 16 minutes, so slightly delayed, but keep in mind he made full treads, and he got a bottle from the mid lane with his item build. So.
Yeah, the bottle obviously does slow down your Battle Fury, but I feel like he still made it work for him. He controlled a lot of the runes, denied those to Ice Ice Ice, or even potentially to the supports in the off lane. And well, the Battle Fury up now, clock starts to tick. He did max Mana Break, which that's the one thing I don't really like about Mushi's build. We saw he wanted to fight, but you look at this draft for Zenith, you're just better off split pushing. It's really just the safer and the better way to deal with their draft. So that's the only thing I'm not sure about, but he's now maxing Blink. He'll get to a point where he can still split push very efficiently. He's got a Quelling Blade. Imagine he'll switch to Agility Tread soon. It's not perfect split push Anti-Mage, but hey, he ran solo mid Anti-Mage with a bottle. Adjustments might need to be made.
So what skill build would you go on him if you want to do split push Anti-Mage? Less Mana Break and more Blink?
Yeah, just your standard burning build. More points and stats, maxing Blink as quickly as possible, because basically you want Blink to be available to just jump from camp to camp as quickly as possible, and also just moving through the jungle, moving from lane to lane. Having Blink and more stats makes you harder to kill.
Well, Ice 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 is still guarding the top tower, so it's going to be a bit tough for him to take this for free, at least. Picked up his Battle Fury. Wow, that is pretty cool. So 16 minutes, apparently still pretty good there. Ice 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 still grabbing the farm, and the rest of Zenith, surprisingly, I mean, they look so aggressive 3 minutes ago, and now they're just playing really passive. What has changed here? Why are they content with this now? Maybe they want to finish the BKB. It's still not quite down 150 gold. I assume they're going to push off of this, because if he gets any black holes, he's just going to take it, because there's no way he's going to get stopped.
I mean, there's two things. One is what you said, is they really do need these big items to go for the next level of pushing. The other issue is Mushi got his Battle Fury, and so he's been putting a lot more pressure on the lanes. He's split pushed more aggressively, and Zenith, they do have to play defense to a certain extent. But end of the day, I think it is mostly just that they want the next level of items. They'll go Roche now, and this is the building blocks. You go for Roche, you get your BKB up on the Enigma, and then you start taking the more aggressive fights. This is where they get the Aegis, and they'll want to go for the tier 2s. Zenith, by no means out of it. It's just that the clock is ticking, and the hourglass, the sand is slowly escaping from it.
Well, Ice 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 getting quite low to the Roshan, but I don't think they can teamfight this again. There's too much AoE coming out of Zenith. They've got all their major core items up as well. Ice has mana now. He's level 6, so his Burrow Strike range is still low, but with the Medallion, they can take Roshan very easily. Gyrocopter picks it up. He's going for a complete early game mix of stats as well as an almost BKB, but I think he's going to be pretty fine with just this item build. The damage output from Orange is pretty good, but it's not insane enough where he needs the fast BKB, so he opts to have more damage and mobility and stuff like that in the early game.
Yeah, and like you said, not enough damage yet. In 10 minutes, that'll be a very different tale at that point in the game. And Mushi's going to keep on pushing the top lane. He'll put some additional pressure here. Zenith barrel down mid with 3 heroes. Bottom lane, though, they'll have initiation. They catch out Yamate. He gets off the call down. Now Ice is here. He's waiting for the Epicenter Burrow Strike option. They infested Ohio in. He gets back out. They snipe the Aegis, and they get out scot-free. And meanwhile, because they had to send heroes bottom lane, that means they're not pushing mid. And while that's happening, Mushi gets a tier 1 top. RNG Sports, in a matter of seconds, a fantastic sequence of fortunate events for them, and just great individual play for Yamate. A little bit overextended, didn't have the vision, thought his backup would be there. It wasn't, and Ice might go down as well. Caught in the trees, and like you said, Dark Pact ruins living armor. My goodness.
Yeah, it really does. Leaping on, able to get a kill there. Kind of cool to see Lifestealer doing a ganking role this game. I mean, he did max out open wounds first, but phase boots, and he had parts of an armlet, and he's just been ganking like crazy, because the open wound slow really is fantastic. So pretty cool to see him running around and ganking rather than just passively farming like the anti-mage.
Mushi blinks up on the high ground. Ice was thinking about going in on him. He'll start to farm the Ancients here. It looks like Zenith have gotten one stack off. If they want to take this later, they really need to start stacking the Ancients and stacking the jungle camps. It's not too late to try and take it late game, but that's got to be a priority for them, especially with Yamate getting picked off there. He needs his BKB soon. Once he has that, it'll be very hard for Orange to kill him. So we'll see him play defensively at least until that's online. Enigma already has his BKB. The pieces are still coming into place for Zenith, but losing that Aegis really hurts. They'll actually catch out Ohio here, bottom lane. He's got raids, though. Are they going to black hole for this? We have yet to see a black hole. We're 21 minutes in, and they just cannot find an opening. It's one thing to be patient, but at some point, you just got to use it.
I mean, if he would have black holed, that was a guaranteed kill, no matter what. They would have killed the Lifestealer if he black holed upon the second Malefice hit. He popped the Soul Ring, but then again he spawned his Eidolons. I mean, just taking a kill at some point is worth it. You need to kill him at some point. Anti-Mage's going to be blinking away. The missile will follow him, but I don't think they're going to be able to follow up because Slark can cover him as well. And they're finally drawing on the map. They said, okay guys, push mid, let's do it. But is it going to be too late? The split push from the Anti-Mage and the Slark are pretty severe now.
Yeah, look at the top lane. Pushed all the way to the tower. KYXY, a very tough nut to crack, very hard to kill, and well, they need to find a couple of kills here. If they just try and go in without picking anyone off, it's going to be easy for Orange to stall this. Ice thought he could find someone in the trees. He was wrong. Burrows through, now traps himself. Rather hilariously at that, I might add. And this is a much harder push for Zenith. They don't have Aegis, and they still don't have the BKB on Yamate. And while they're busy doing this, bottom lane's getting some momentum. Mushi getting closer to the tier 1. It's still decent for Zenith, but it's Slark, top lane. He'll start working on the tier 2 here. And Orange, ultimately, they've held on to their outer towers for quite some time. They still have the tier 2 top, the tier 2 bottom. This is all about stalling. They don't actually want to fight Zenith. They just want to force Zenith to waste time chasing heroes. Delay, delay, delay is the name of the game, while Mushi pushes in the bottom lane.
Even Slark is watching from the top lane to see if he needs the TP. Glyph is popped. Slark's going to be coming in mid. Are they going to black hole this? He's going to vacuum BKB as well, but they're going to whiff it. No black hole there. Not the best coordination. And again, XY just waiting a bit too long. He pops the regen at least, but his BKB is down. That item they've been farming all game for, and they lose their opportunity. That could have been a guaranteed two-man black hole.
They have cooldown. They could still go here. Burrow Strike on KYXY catches him out, but he's able to leap and Dark Pact out of that. And Mushi continues to push this bottom lane. He's got his Battle Fury now. He's got 3,000 gold, in fact, so a little bit more than that. He'll blink away. Actually, sorry, he's 20 gold away from the Battle Fury, but very close. And oh no, he's going to steal the Ancient Stack. This really hurts. Actually, he can't kill it. He wants that last few creeps. He just made it a very easy kill for the gyro, actually. That's very unfortunate.
If he had his Manta up there, he could have used his illusions to tank, and he would have been fine. So.
Ohio, aggressive movement forward. And Ice. He's saying, guys, let's go. The clock is ticking. Get your asses in gear. But they're just not a very mobile team. I feel like if Sandkane had a Blink Dagger, this would be a much easier engagement. They could push down mid. Ice could have Burrow Strike, caught 2 there, or used Burrow Strike, caught 2 with ease, and then the Black Hole follow-up. Zenith, they got the tier 2, but it was a very expensive tier 2.
Yeah, definitely.
And it was denied, by the way, by the Lifestealer.
Yeah, that kind of ruins the whole thing. I mean, you get about 25% of the. It's not that low, but it's a lot less gold for the tower when it does get denied. So all of that effort, they lose the BKB charge. They lost their tier 1 bot. So a lot of stuff lost by their push being delayed there. So they need to make the fights happen. Even if they can just do a vacuum onto a Burrow Strike and follow up with other AoEs, like, it's going to be a good team fight. But the coordination from Zenith has just not quite been there just yet.
It's at that point now where it's almost like XY, he's waited so long to find the right black hole. Now he kind of, we're going to see an engagement in the jungle, actually. Ice, rather. Burrow Strikes away, has living armor up, should be able to escape. X Freedom comes in under cover of Nature's Guise, maybe looking for an initiation here. Ice as well, but who do you go on? Slark's not an easy target. Now the leap, catching out X Freedom. Mushi, biding his time. He throws in the Manta-style illusions. Actually, they were used earlier, didn't have them available. And now Zenith forced to back off. This is not good for Zenith. Their lineup was predicated on at least doing well through the laning stage and then having a ridiculous mid-game 5-man. They had that ridiculous mid-game 5-man in terms of draft, but in terms of execution, it hasn't been there. Yamate losing H's bottom. We'll see a leap in mid. Wants to go. BKB from KYXY, but he's got to run out of this. And in the end, well, it looks like Zenith forced the TP, but not actually finding kills just yet.
Well, it looks like they can grab X at least. There's the first vacuum. Don't let him get that invisibility rune, though. Yeah, Malefice is going to secure this kill at least. So they finally have picked up a hero from the enemy team.
It's still good for Orange. Mushi, it's not good to give up the kill, but everything else is good for them. He's up to 13k net worth. The next item isn't far off, and he's really split pushing fast with the Manta style now. He's working on the tier 2 bottom. It's at that point where if Zenith barrel down mid with 5, Mushi may just be able to out-split push them by himself.
Man, if they didn't have Treant, though, this tower would be gone already. But I think he's going to be able to finish it off here. He's going to go for the deny. There's the glyph. That's going to force Mushi into decision. He is going to blink away, and that's going to guarantee that they do either save this or get the deny. They're going to go for the deny. Yep, and they take it. Enigma denies the tower. I think that's a good choice. They could have healed it up, but it would have taken a long time, and eventually Anti-Mage is going to pressure it.
Again, it's a simple game plan for Orange. One of each of your 3 cores spread out around the map, one top or in the Dire jungle, one bottom or in the Radiant jungle, and then one mid or at the Ancients, and they're executing. They're split pushing. They're stalling the game. The gold graph continues to tick upwards and upwards, and their heroes do a lot with the gold. Even the Visage scales pretty well into the late game. Speaking of which, Extinct, I mentioned it earlier, 12 or 13-1 on this hero. Can't remember which one it is, but, well, he may be headed towards another win here.
Yeah, I like how Slark picked up a BKB first item here. He does most of his damages from magic nukes, and as he levels up his essence shift, he can also be quite annoying, but just having that magic immunity up can stop him from a lot of the nasty things that Zenith is going to be throwing, especially if he can avoid the vacuum. That's going to be really useful. He can break the Treant overgrowth, and even the Sand King epicenter damage at least. The slow still applies.
I think the biggest thing is, along those lines, it's an item that helps you fight now. And as long as he can fight now and be effective and threatening in these fights, Mushi will carry the game later on. And so KYXY, by going for this item, says, I might be a little less useful late game, but I don't need to be super useful late game. We've got a Lifestealer, we've got an Anti-Mage, but Zenith, huge smoke gank. They thought they'd find someone farming Ancients. They were wrong, but they're going to go in mid.
Dark, Slark is the scary one to gank here. Willie, he pops Dark Pact. Here's the stuns coming through. He's going to be able to BKB if needed, but he leaps, throws down his ulti as well, and no more stuns coming out.
Beautiful familiar stuns there. KYXY, there's actually no gem or even a detection of any kind on Zenith. That's really bold that they went for the Slark there. Mushi breaking high ground bottom lane.
Ooh, he doesn't land the pounce, but pops the BKB, now chasing after XY. There's the overgrowth to set him up here. He's going to be able to do Dark Pact in a second. That'll stop more stuns, but more right click puts him low. Burrow Strike, Epicenter's going to come through. So X is getting pretty slow. Leech Seed as well. Can they snake the kill, or will there be a Soul Assumption? He's got a Burrow Strike in 2 seconds. He's going to be able to clean this up, I think, and there is Burrow Strike through Iron Shell and a Surge. Nice kill, able to get him, but this might be Treant going down. He's going to be able to armor himself, but so much damage here. The bashes, 2 bashes. Will we see 3? There's the Invis. Dust is popped, though. Great juking from him. BKB on Enigma. He needs the black hole. He blinks in. Will he black hole it? Are we going to ever see a black hole this game? He's out of mana. He can't cast it, but he needs to cast it. And a pounce goes through. 2 dead heroes now. XY running for his life. He's never going to get a black hole off this game. What is going on?
This is just not working, and now Mushi's going to barely live. Bottom lane, he almost died. He was split pushing this tier 3, gets it down to about 300 HP. Yamate was probably kicking himself. He was actually 1 extra flat cannon proc away, or attack away from killing Mushi, but Mushi blinked away in time. Mushi comes back, finds the Darkseer in his path, says thank you for the gold. And RG Sports, well, now they go in mid lane. Yamate on the run. He's got a BKB soon. He might be able to kill off Net here, but killing this Crystal Maiden is nearly irrelevant. Mushi pushing top while this all happens, and Net is juking. He'll Frostbite him, forces out a BKB. Yamate collects a kill, but it's a Crystal Maiden kill now towards the mid lane. It's Ice in undercover of Sandstorm, just lurking. Yamate just can't do enough damage. Mushi quickly snowballing out of control this game, up to 5k gold, takes the tier 2 top, and Zenith just completely outmaneuvered, out-strategized in this game. They are falling apart before our very eyes.
Yeah, Zenith is at least able to defend their tier 1 tower with help from Treant Protector, of course, giving this HP regen. But, man, the amount of team fight, Orange is just playing such an annoying style. They're not really fighting straight up. They're just kind of poking in and out repeatedly. I mean, they don't even care where they're standing. KYXY can be completely out of position, leap away easily. They open wounds in. Gyrocopter in trouble. His BKB is definitely on cooldown here, waiting for the Burrow Strike last second, but he's going to be alive still. And again, they spread out. They're going to poke again in a second. Can they actually initiate? There's an invis on Slark, so jumping on one of these core heroes could be huge. But they do still have Black Hole, so the team fight's not over. Most of their other ultis are on cooldown, but up soon. So I think they have to try to maybe take a Rax here, but Anti-Mage is threatening a counter push again.
And they'll have to back. They need to send, maybe they can send just the gyro, but it's very dangerous at this point. Mushi, he's picked up a heart recipe. He'll take the tower. Living Armor's not going to help you at this point, and mid lane will have an engagement. Ohio surges in. He wants them to black hole. He's saying, please, black hole me, sir. I'd love to do it, because then Mushi comes in and has a ball. He charges in with rage. Still no black hole. It catches 2. Those are the 2 cores. No Mana Void just yet. XY gets up a pretty solid one, but where's the follow-up? Mushi jumped into the middle of the fight. He did use his Mana Void. Now Ice to fall. KYXY chasing, and he should be able to find XY if he wants. Too many X's, too many Y's in this game. Another kill. 3 hit the floor, and Orange Esports are pulling away with game 2. It looks like this is going to be a 1-1. For Zenith, the comeback mechanic just isn't really there. They're a lineup that's built on doing well through the laning stage. Oh, no, we'll talk about that later. Jump in again. They want Yamate. Open wounded up. On the chase is Ohio, but despite getting the bash, it's a bit far to dive. They might even force out a buyback if Zenith have any. Still chasing, still diving, XY to fall, and despite the BKB, this is going to be hard for Yamate. Does a lot of damage, almost kills off 2 cores, gets 1 support and a core in the end. Mushi's still trying to fight his way out of this one. Has a heart, though. This is going to be a tough nut to crack. He's on the chase. A leap from KYXY. Just cannot seem to land on these, and now Yamate caught, held in position. Will Shadow Blade away. Or no, sorry, Nature's Guy's away, not Shadow Blade. So used to seeing that item on him. And end of the day, Mushi lost maybe half his health through all of that. That's problematic.
Yeah, Gyrocopter has some pretty good survivability and great movement speed. His Sanjinyasha here actually kind of paid off. Huge movement speed. He does have MAME as well, and he juked around enough to stay alive. I've been really impressed with his play all game, actually. He's been playing really aggressive, but aggressively smart. He knows where he's safe and where he's not. He's been, I mean, his ally got jumped on, and he went aggressive. And he got 2 kills out of it and didn't die. And despite Orange being insanely farmed and scary, he was able to juke enough. So he's trying to hold this game together, and he's doing a pretty good job. But the Black Hole was good in the last fight, but it wasn't enough to get any kills.
Yeah, Burrow Strike, blink in on the mid lane from Ice. They'll be able to initiate here, but now KYXY is going to turn it around. Ice in trouble, dropping quickly to the Dark Pact. The Living Armor not doing a whole lot there. Mushi is coming in from the backside, and he'll jump in now. He finds Ice, burrows through, tries to live. Overgrowth, but he mantas out immediately. While this is happening, Yamate does manage to pick off that sad Crystal Maiden. Not the best game of Net's life, but hey, them's the breaks when you play Crystal Maiden. It's KYXY, who isn't done yet, actually leaps forward, but XY manages to blink and dodge away from it. Still, they're running. Even if their running is spectacular, it's not winning them the game. And now Mushi will start sieging.
Almost level 16 for Darks here. They're going to go in on XY again, but he is able to blink. Looking for
There's no black hole. It's just very hard to take this fight.
They can Midnight Pulse this, I guess.
You're stretching.
Yeah,
You're definitely
they're
stretching.
going to be in some trouble. Maleficus is a great disable, but they have 2 heroes that counter it quite heavily. One of which being Slark, the other of which being Lifestealer. If they can just counteract it with either Dark Pact or Rage, this really solid disable is going to be iffy. And Slark is still looking for pounces here. He picks up a Vlad's after his BKB so that he has more physical survivability. Especially because if you look at Slark's armor, it's actually quite low for an Agi hero. It ramps up heavily as he right-clicks and gets more Essence Shift, but right now it's not the best.
Yeah, that, and they have 3 melee cores. And it allows Mushi, he doesn't have to buy Vlad's, and he can still be a beastly tank in these fights. It suits their lineup well, and KYXY, his job isn't to get farm this game. It's to be a distraction, it's to be a nuisance, and he's accomplishing both of those things with his item choices as well as his playstyle. I mean, we saw him earlier mid, like just after that fight happened, he's just hanging out near the tier 2, running up and down this ramp, delaying Zenith, preventing them from going Roche, preventing them from ganking Mushi. Speaking of Mushi, looking pretty effing pro now, up to 4.5k gold. He's going to be hard to kill. They'll have an engagement at the Roshan pick. KYXY, he gets hexed up by Ice Ice Ice. Cannot get his BKB off. Now he does, however. Looks like he's able to escape the blink-in black hole. It only catches Extinct. That's a bit of a wah-wah black hole. Is it going to hurt them in the end? Familiars are there. Good stuns. Now Mushi comes in. Head full of steam. Monovoid as well. Everybody low. Clean up in aisle 3. Crystal Maiden drops the ult. Yamate tries to TP out. Can't do it. He'll fall as well. And they are being absolutely torn to pieces here. Net with the slow. Can't get off a Frostbite. While this is happening, another teleport out. KYXY tried to pick off the Sand King. He gets away, but that was a big Monovoid.
Yeah, it really was. Enigma was missing almost all of his int when that ended up landing on him, so pretty good AoE coming out of that. That could have gone way worse for Zenith, by the way. 3 heroes limping back to base. And what's Orange going to do? They're going to take Roshan. They grab an Eagle Song and Anti-Mage now, and as soon as this guy finishes the Butterfly, the game ends, basically. Gyrocopter is possibly going for an MKB, but I don't even think an MKB could win in the game. They need a Divine Rapier or something like that.
They need a Divine, and they need an MKB, because Mushi's about to get a Butterfly. So, in fact, has the gold for it now, in typical Mushi fashion. Not spending it until absolutely necessary. Engagement, though, near the tier 2 of the dire side. Leap in from KYXY, gets rooted after his BKB, but Ohio's still fighting his way through this one. X-Freedom on the run. Mushi leaps forward, surges forward, once more kills, pops his Manta style. Monovoid is available if he wants to jump this. He'll back off, he'll try and catch the stragglers. Ice trying to deny himself to neutrals, but can't do it in the end. This might be it for Zenith. Black Hole still on cooldown for 100 seconds. And it's going to be very, very hard to defend this push.
No kidding.
Especially if Mushi would buy his friggin' butterfly, but just refuses to do it.
It's fine, man. He saved up like 5,000 gold before he bought his heart. He's like, it's okay, I'm winning.
Yeah, I mean, end of the day, he probably doesn't need it. It's just me being a pain in the butt. Mushi will get hexed up, though. Any evasion he would have had is now removed, and, well, Malefist stunned, held in place. The rocket's going to connect as well. But while this is happening, they're taking the mid-racks. It's pretty good stall tactics. He's low, but he doesn't die. That's without the butterfly. Imagine if he had it. But end of the day, well, he'll come right back in bottom lane. And they take the tier 3 mid. Unless Orange decide to 5-man dive the fountain, this is pretty much over.
Yeah, that was so sick from the anti-mage. He was like, okay, I can blink, cancel. I'm going to stand over here in the corner, buy my team an extra 4 seconds, and then they take the tower mid. I mean, they're playing this style really, really well. It's very annoying to play against, I'm sure.
And Mushi, he'll push bottom lane back in. He'll pop the Manta. Living Armor, not really useful at this point, because just a few slashes from the anti-mage illusions remove it immediately, and they'll go in mid. It's just back and forth, whack-a-mole style, rat Dota from Orange. And if they want to face rush, I think they could actually win a 5v5. Black Hole's still on cooldown, and without that, I just don't see Zen taking a fight. It's coming soon, though. Orange, there is no urgency for them. They will back off. If they want to farm for another 20 minutes, they can. But I feel like you're in a position now where you maybe get the Butterfly Mushi, make sure you buy back, maybe Boots of Travel on a few of those heroes, and you could just go end the game if you'd like.
Man, do they even need buyback? I just don't see them losing a team fight. I don't care what heroes Zenith has at this point. Their damage output just isn't there. I mean, Gyro even bought a Sanjin Yasha, which I think can be a possible usable item on Gyrocopter, but it is not an item that gives damage. It only gives you about 30 damage or something like that. 16 agility, 16 damage, 32 damage output out of this item. It could have been maybe the start of an MKB. He could have had an MKB earlier. I mean, I think the mobility helped him survive in some fights, but like, they just need a ton of damage to be able to pick off the anti-mage, and it's not here. Even if they get a 5-man black hole, I just don't see him getting kills.
And they find that, and they'll pick him off, but I love that plink. That's one of my favorite sound effects in Dota,
that's
too.
great.
I want to commend Mushi this game. Solo mid anti-mage against an Enigma did get pulled a single set of tangos, but still, he is, or I believe it was a salve, actually, that he got pulled, but playing really, really well this game. Hasn't died. He's 4-0, and the other 4-0-8, and the other reason he hasn't died is they just don't have a good lineup for killing him. Now they have a Scythe Device and Darkseer. Maybe a Blink Dagger comes soon for Ice, but again, it goes back to the draft for Zenith. They picked a lineup that had very minimal lockdown, so even though the anti-mage pick seemed greedy on paper, you see a support like Treant, and you just know. As soon as you see that hero picked, you know he's a support, and you know that means the enemy team is a support with crappy lockdown, which means if you want to go for something like anti-mage, it's much harder to punish it. And Zenith just have not been able to. Mushi's also kept his farm up. 425 CS, 38 minutes in. Pretty freaking good CS, considering that he was solo mid and he was ganking a lot early. And it was not even an early Battle Fury. He's done a fantastic job this game.
Yeah, he really has. He's got the buyback gold. That's no problem at all for him. Back on the top lane, we also have an Abyssal Blade finish for Lifesteal. He's comboed this with a Hyperstone to give him more bash proc chances as he attacks fast. But most importantly, the Abyssal Blade is going to be used most likely against the Gyrocopter. As he pops BKB, if he can just disable him and prevent him from doing damage at the crucial moment, I mean, that's their damage source. They've got Vacuum Wall and maybe a level 2 Epicenter, but it's all magical based at this point, and all of the core heroes are going to be pretty much immune to it.
Yamate is really close to a Divine, and you mentioned maybe MKB, maybe Divine. I feel like it's got to be Divine because it's not just the AM you're worried about. It's the Lifestealer that you mentioned with the Abyssal Blade as well. You really need to kill both of them in that first volley of flat cannon attacks, or at least make them so unable to fight that they can't go. Bottom lane, though, there's a huge engagement. Mushi drops the Mana Void. It's the entire enemy team trying to bring him down, even with the Scythe, even with the Burrow. They can barely bring him to half HP. Gyro is truly their only damage, and until Yamate completes his Divine Rapier, he actually doesn't hit that hard. And they may even go under him. KYXY didn't leap, but pops the Dark Pact. They'll just chip away. Mushi taking the bottom racks while the rest of the team works mid, and now Ohio's going to try to isolate Yamate and pick him off. He pops Rage. He charges in. He abyssals XY and then runs away. Now he'll burrow through, catches KYXY mid lane, but he simply leaps away, and Mushi goes back in. Whack-a-mole. Which one are you going to go for? Mushi, they could maybe black hole this. It's available, but you got to make sure you get him. Overgrowth was dropped. Not able to catch Mushi. Ohio runs back bottom. This is infuriating. This is absolutely miserable. Zenith are probably facepalming so hard right now. Aegis even going to be reclaimed soon. Their base falling all around them. Mushi working on the range racks. As soon as they come in, he blinks out. There are no words to describe how mad they must be right now.
I feel like I'm watching a StarCraft 2 Pro match with two-pronged drop harass where you poke in one way, escape, poke in another way and just cause a lot of frustration in your opponents. But it's so hard to deal with these team fight lineups. I mean, they think they see targets, but they're so far behind that they pop their ultis and go in on a guy, and it doesn't even matter. And Orange is not making this more infuriating because they're not even ending the game. I mean, after the Trion burns his ulti, they know that's on cooldown for 70 seconds. They knew Sand King ulti was on cooldown because they tried to kill AM with it. If they just did a 5v5 push, I just don't see them winning this. But they're playing it so safe here, poking in and out. They're not committing super hard to anything because they know that most of their heroes are near impossible to kill at this point. So playing it real safe.
Do you have any of those friends who, or do you know anyone who's like, at least when I was growing up as a kid, like my little sister was like hated being tickled. She absolutely detested it.
So you did it.
Yeah, so I did it. It was really upsetting to her.
That's like me.
I was a dick. What can I say? But I feel like Zenith, they don't like being tickled, and they're getting tickled all the wrong places right now. And Mushi, well, he'll jump in mid again. Manta's available in 1 second. 8k gold, even if he dies. Doesn't matter. Gyro maybe has the Divine. He's got the money for it. Hasn't spent the gold yet. Mushi's so freaking tanky. He could buy a Divine if he wanted to. Maybe throw one to Yamate. Throw him a bone. Top lane, though. They kill a 5-size. Immediate buyback from him. They'll get the melee racks mid. They can work on the range racks, and it all falls apart for Zenith in game 2.
Yeah, the second barracks is going to fall, so, I mean, at this point, it's just a matter of time.
I want to see a charity rapier. I want to see Mushi just rub it in Yamate's face, buy him a rapier, win the game anyway. There you go. Divine Rapier 42 minutes in.
He spots it, I'm sure. I'm sure they saw this coming. This is definitely one of those dire moments.
Come on, Mushi. Come on, Mushi. No.
What did he buy? Anything? Oh, 8,000 gold.
He won't spend his gold. You have 8.5k. Buy something, man.
He might need to buy back endlessly for the rest of the game. You never know. Well, I mean, what is he going to sell? TP Scrolls, and he's going to go probably Abyssal Blade, I would say, would be the right pickup. He can even go, like, Daedalus or something cool like that. That'd be kind of fun.
He's got 6k unreliable gold, which means he has 2.7k reliable. 9k gold. Mushi, please. Spend your freaking gold. All right. That's
not going to happen.
That's enough riffing on Mushi.
He doesn't need any items for the rest of the game to win this, honestly. I think the Gyro could even grab an MKB, and he would still be just fine. That's like where things get almost dangerous. I mean, when you have a Heart and you have a Manta style and you have this much evasion and you have ridiculous spell shield, I mean, he's going to be okay.
He's just trolling me, I feel, at this point. He keeps on going mid and then jumping past the secret shop. I keep on thinking, all right, now Mushi's going to buy a Divine Rapier. I'm very wrong about that. He'll go back bottom lane. He'll continue to push it in. Of course, Zenith, they took game 1 of this 2-game group stage match format, so much easier to say best of 2, even though it's not really a best of. I'm just going to say best of 2. And he pushes in the bottom lane. They'll continue to siege it out. Zenith, what can they really do? They need the big 5-man combo, though. Hex Ohio, they cannot take a fight out of their base like this. They've got to catch multiple heroes in Black Hole, Overgrowth, etc., and they will back off. But Hex now on cooldown.
Yeah, another case where they tried to initiate, but it just didn't look right, so they didn't quite go in. It seems like Zenith is having a lot of coordination problems, and it's kind of been the case the whole game. I don't know if it's communication or what, but they're going to blink in. They're going to be able to take the range breaks. There's actually BKB from Enigma. Here comes the Black Hole. Going to catch the real one, actually, as well as the Illusions. There's the Illusions coming down. Some mana drain. Burrow Strike as well. They're getting pretty low. Ohio's going to go down. Mushi's going to blink out, though. And an Infest, actually, oh my god, that Infest. He was able to stay alive. Somebody looked like they almost died, but it was an Infest into Anti-Mage, and now Lifestealer is going to save himself. That was a pretty good initiation, probably one of the best that Zenith has had so far, but they didn't get anything from it.
I just want to point out that Mushi barely lost half his HP. With the entire Gyrocopter
that was everything.
Arsenal, everything was thrown his way. No MKB, no dice. If he has an MKB there, might have even been able to kill Mushi, but with that evasion, it's just way too hard to bring him down. Mushi even leaps forward onto the tower, may have overextended. This is what he's saving his 10.7k gold for, is a rainy day if he needs to buy back here. He won't.
Nope, he's fine, guys. Don't worry. No problems here. Net over.
I really want him to die to teach him a lesson, but he's not going to. X-Freedom's going to get blown up. Now Mushi jumps in, unloads the payload. The Monovoid's there, and now Zenith beating a hasty retreat to the fountain. 2 effing pro. Yamate, Mushi says, as he triumphantly takes game 2. RNG Sports, they'll break even with Zenith here. 1-1 will be your series score. And Mushi still not spending his gold. What a way to end it.
Man, they really did play this strategy so perfectly. They poked the entire game.
Now he'll buy some rapiers.
Is that what it's going to be? Come on, go. Oh, he did buy one. He can't afford a second? Oh, man, he's 300 gold away. He's like, team, get a tower. And then the game ended.
Wow. What a topsy-turvy series this was. In game 1, we saw Zenith just completely face roll Orange Esports, basically, and out-execute them with their signature style, which is split push and an XY tanker as the backbone of it. A strong off-lane solo like a Bounty Hunter or a Darkseer for Ice Ice Ice. they made it work in game 1, but in game 2, it was just Orange completely outmaneuvering and out-strategizing them. And I felt like for Zenith, the key issues were, one, Enigma losing mid lane so hard to Anti-Mage.
Yeah.
Like, he got destroyed. He got solo killed. He was losing the CS battle. And then the other thing was, when you have a Sand King Treant support combo, what can you actually do with those heroes? You should never kill anyone. They managed to kill Slark once, which is better than you expect, but still not really good enough.
Yeah, I think the Enigma really needed to rely on getting a ton of CS on the mid lane, like you said. Possibly Outlast hitting the Anti-Mage. He played too passive the first couple of rounds, and that allowed the Anti-Mage to get his bottle up really quickly. The other problem that they had was Darkseer did really well in his lane, getting a solo kill, and Gyrocopter, I think, as a whole, played really well. But the first Black Hole came at 29 minutes for a solo Enigma, who surely hit level 6 the first 6 minutes or so, 6 to 8 minutes, something like that. So they needed to make kills happen with the Black Holes, guarantee kills. They passed up the kill on the Lifestealer bottom. There was lots of situations where I think they needed to have better coordination to be able to pull their wombo combos together, and they just didn't get it. So that's going to be game 2 of Zenith versus Orange, guys. That's going to be a 2-0. I'm sorry, it's a 1-1, correct, between Orange and Zenith. Let me guys know, what do you guys think over on the desk?
Welcome back, buddy.
Hello.
How was your nap?
I didn't actually sleep. I was watching the games. I didn't see the first 6 minutes because
Kawa and Blitz were playing Magic the Gathering in the other room.
I don't even know what that game is.
Yeah, I don't either, but Kevin loves it.
Oh, really?
It's good.
Oh, he does. I completely forgot. I'm so sorry. I didn't know that.
So Orange versus Zenith, what did you think?
It was a great game. The Anti-Mage mid, a lot of people are going to think, but if you really think about it, it's not too bad. It's really difficult to gank. You have a mobile spell that lets you check runes really easily.
Yeah.
And you have a harass spell, your passive mana break that actually costs you nothing, and it does a whole lot of damage, and it's really annoying as an intelligence hero to face against.
Yeah.
And just, it's actually not too bad of a mid.
And it's mid lane, so the Eidolons have that uphill miss chance. Of course, he got pulled regen as well.
Yeah.
And Quelling Blade makes them very squishy. They died quickly. The other thing was that Crystal Maiden came mid and kind of gave Mushi that strong start. Allowed him to last hit, I think, the first 2 or 3 waves freely, just with a simple Nova harassment. And from there, it was just Mushi doing what Mushi does best, which is dominating his lane and then carrying the game.
Yeah, we talked about how you wanted to see Mushi come middle
Yeah.
and just kind of do the Mushi thing he does.
And he did it on a very unorthodox hero.
Yeah,
But
I
he
mean,
did it.
it's the playstyle difference, right? Because
Yeah.
normally you see the mid hero as kind of the tempo space creator.
Yeah.
But in actuality, Mushi was more like the split pusher. I'm just going to win my lane and then do what Anti-Mage does best. Become really annoying, never come to fights. And then when I do come to fights, I'm going to be 6 stacks, so it won't matter.
You know what's funny? It's like you could see, like, there's this part of Mushi that's like, I want to join the fights. I want to go be active. He teleported bottom early, did really nothing off of it.
Yeah.
I think actually had a haste rune and came bottom, and then TP'd back mid. But he did waste some time. I felt like it could have been even easier for Orange if he had just stuck to the game plan, which was clearly spread the map, find some kills early, and then just avoid until your anti-mage is too big to fail.
Yeah, I just didn't really like Zenith's lineup. It just didn't feel like they had a whole lot of damage.
What do you do with those supports?
Yeah, I mean, also with Enigma, like the hole is great, but it doesn't actually add any DPS.
Yeah.
I mean, what is Tree really going to add in terms of damage for you? And Gyro's great and all, but he didn't exactly have the best start. They weren't able to get any kills. He wasn't able to get any levels because of that. Because if you're going to devote 3 heroes to to an offensive tri-lane, you need to be getting a lot of kills to circumvent the fact that you're not going to get levels from pulling and doing other things like that.
And it was a dire tri-lane too, so you can't even pull their big camp.
Yeah.
You can't even punish them.
So, and with a tree, like what do you... I just don't see the logic. I thought the tree was going to be in the offlane by himself or something like that, and he'd provide help for a mid.
I mean, contrary to Godz, who by himself hates on Tree so much that people probably think Beyond the Summit hates on Tree, but I actually think he's a legit hero, but that is not how you use Tree on Protector.
Yeah, he's one of those heroes that you have to kind of abuse his living armor to win the mid matchup, or actually just help your solo lanes in general. But to be using it in a situation where he's kind of like your offensive tri-laner, he's not going to get any levels. He doesn't provide any offensive potential for you in the lane.
Leech Seed is very underwhelming.
Yeah, it feels kind of a bit wonky, especially since he's such a level-dependent hero. He doesn't really need items, but you really need to get something going on him.
Of course, well, it's only a best-of-2 format. It's going to be a 1-1 trade, but hey, I'm excited. Group B is now officially underway, and I hope you guys enjoyed it, because I sure did.
Oh yeah, really exciting styles. By the way, hi Admiral Bulldog. There's a shout-out.
Hi, Cinderin.
Oh, is he watching too?
He was telling me I have to keep my head down because I keep on blocking the MasterCard.
Oh, really? It's naturally because
It's so
he's short.
uncomfortable. Like, everyone's probably think I have the worst posture, but I'm trying not to block it. We didn't quite design the backdrop perfectly, I guess, in retrospect. I take full
I
responsibility.
always like
for
watch my. If you see me like shift, it's because I'm blocking the A, and I'm like,
Yeah. I have this habit of wanting to put my arm here, but then I fly and so I'm constantly
yeah,
float.
I have to like kind of just like tuck in.
I'm already fidgety on camera to begin with. This isn't helping. So.
No, not at all.
Well, guys, thank you for tuning in. That's our first best of 2. We'll take a quick look at the schedule now just so you can see what's coming up next, and then we'll run to a break. So our next best of 2, we're actually going to be taking an hour and 40-minute break. Then we'll come back with Tong Fu versus RNG Sports. The reason for the break is so that Orange doesn't have to play 2 matches back-to-back. And we'll finish things off today with the match that I think most of us are most excited for. It's Zenith versus IG. Thank you all for tuning in. Stay tuned. The Alienware Cup continues in an hour and 40 minutes.